Well, I believe we're live. Good evening to the first episode of Ask Harry on Monday Night Live. Welcome, and the intention here is to have you ask me any questions, and then I'll attempt to answer them as best as I can. So, first off, what I wanted to do was I see we have four viewers now. That's nice. We've got some people starting to come online now. First off, maybe somebody can give me some feedback on how well this connection is. It did say it was weak, but I think it's running all right. I'll actually check it on my computer, see what we're how it's looking on here. Okay, yeah, that seems to be pretty good on the computer there. So that's good. Now, I just want to make a couple of announcements first up before anyone asks any questions. And hello, Beth. Yes, I am definitely live, Harry, because the dead version was nowhere near as interesting. There's a couple of announcements, a couple of vegan events coming up this weekend here on the Gold Coast. Now, there's one that I'm co-hosting with Kirk and Lindy, and it's called the Thrift and Dance Party, and it's a non-alcohol event. It's a dance event on Saturday night, 6 p.m. Goes from about 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's in Burleigh Waters. It's $15 for the ticket, and there's going to be vegan food for sale there. There's a DJ. There's a couple of bands. There's Rob Thompson playing. He's fantastic. Now, what we got? Kim tells me it's all good, Harry. That's good. Lorna says, yep, hear and see you, Harry. That's good. Hi to Natalie. The only problem with the setup I've got here is I've got to reach right up to touch the phone. Let's just scroll down here. I wish I was more local. I'm in Melbourne. Okay, so the Thrift and Dance Party, Saturday night at Burleigh Waters, $15 entry. Now, also on Saturday during the day, 11:30, I think it starts. Yes, my wonderful friend Yana from Yana Yoga is having a what's called Kitchen Remedy Healthy Winter Recipes at her yoga studio, and that starts at 11:30. And oh, hi Lisa. Yes, so that starts at 11:30, and what's happening there? Okay, I've lost it. Oh yes, she's actually got a discount the next 3 days till Wednesday. There's a discount going on there, $20 off the full price. So it's $49 for the class, including yummy treats. These events I have shared on my page, and I'll share them again. So Brian, hello, Brian from the US. Nice to have you join us from all the way over there. What time is it where you are, Brian? Because it would be if you're in the US, it'd be early morning. Depending if you're in the West Coast, it'd be about 4:30 in the morning. If you're in the East Coast, it'd be about 7:30, I think. How accurate am I? Or maybe you're somewhere in between. Let me know. So, what I might be able to do, seeing as this is the first time I've tried it, is here we go. I can actually read the comments. It's 7:30ish. Okay, so Brian, you're on the East Coast by the sounds of it. Anyway, I've tried to time this so that it sort of works internationally, but it's I'd have to be doing it even later at night for that to work. So, okay. So I'm doing a little bit of talking here. What I want to do is maybe just, if anyone wants to ask any questions, fire away, just type in a question. In the meantime, I'm just going to, for those of you that don't know me, I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown. I've been vegan 36 years. I became vegan in 1980 at the age of 16. And I had at that stage as a teenager, I had very, very bad acne. And when I say very bad acne, it was facial, it was body acne. I'd had it for a few years. And what happened was I was told by the doctors that it wasn't related to diet. And I believed that for a period of time until I came across what was one of the most influential books I've ever read called The Mucusless Diet. I read this book. I was just amazed by the information in it because it was written in the 1920s and it was basically promoting a raw vegan diet without it actually being called that because it wouldn't have been known as that at the time. So it was essentially cutting out all meat, all dairy products. It was very strict. There was no bread. From memory, there was no rice. There was no potatoes. Anything that was creating mucus was eliminated from the diet. So it really was like raw vegan. So I read this book, The Mucusless Diet. I was so impressed by it that I just decided then and there I was going to. Yes, Beth, acne actually made me become vegan. Yes. I decided then and there that I was going to follow this diet. And I remember very clearly because it was a Friday night. I changed from my regular diet of, being a meat eater to overnight to raw vegan. By the end of that weekend, 2 days later, most of my acne had cleared. By the end of the following week, it was all gone. And we're talking 2 to 3 years of really acute acne. That was all gone within a week, and basically there was no turning back. I was so impressed by the difference that diet makes, the food that we're putting into our body. I was so impressed that it just became my life. So that was probably the biggest thing that happened in my life. Now, Kim, you've asked, how do I stay so fit and slim when you eat out all the time? Now, that's a good question. I get asked that a bit, actually. I'm not really this fit and slim. I'm using filters. but I do ride my bicycle to work and back. I ride the bicycle up to between 40, 50 kilometres on the weekend mornings. During summer, I swim 40 laps a day in my pool. I have a home gym here that I use daily. What else? I do push-ups in the morning, usually 25 to 30 push-ups, sit-ups, stretches, that sort of thing. And this is why, okay, Beth, this is why we look young, a vegan diet. So now, Will, nice to have you along, Will. Always nice to catch up with you. Now, what do you say? The other day, I ate 3.5 crackers when I realised that there were maggots crawling on them. I'd obviously eaten many maggots. Am I bad? Does that make me a heathen vegan? Well, Will, I think you were bad in the first place. But I can say that because I know you too well. Will, if your question was serious, the intention of anyone following a vegan lifestyle, which includes a plant-based diet, it also includes following the principles of ahimsa, which is compassion, non-violence, respect for all life. So anyone following a vegan lifestyle is trying to do their best without being absolutely fantastically perfect, because that's where, what's my description? We're imperfectly perfect, or is it? No, we're perfectly imperfect. Human beings are perfectly imperfect. So we're doing our best. And, when you're aware that something like that has happened, then you make amends for it. You immediately, stop doing it. You don't go, well, I'm still eating. Oh, I'll keep eating it. I think that's the difference. That point is the difference in where awareness comes in. If somebody's aware that the animals are being mistreated, that they're being used, abused, enslaved, tortured, raped, murdered, somebody's aware of that and continues to contribute to that, then this is a complete different scenario to someone that's aware of that and their heart opens up and they realise they have to act with the inbuilt compassion that we're all born with. So there's a big difference between the two. So if you continue doing it, this becomes a bit of an issue there. So just scrolling back here to see what we've got here. So what do I do as work? Well, Talia, nice of you to join us. I actually work for what's called the Veggie Chip Company. So been there for quite a long time now. So it's debatable whether I do any work there or if I just turn up and get paid appearance money. But yes, that's what I do. And Benjamin, it was good to see you, Benjamin, on Saturday night at the Animal Justice Party fundraiser. Great to see you again. Um, Harry's bringing the vegan flame to the table daily. Good on you, mate. That's what Benjamin said. Thank you, mate. Will, you were serious. Did you, Will, you seriously ate maggots? The whole thought of that just repulses me. Oh my God, that's that's scary. it's it's in, it's interesting, Will, because it brings up a point in the difference of when a person goes vegan, how their senses change, and what is over. Sometimes it happens rapidly, sometimes it happens over a period of time. But a person can go from their taste sensations change. So a person will go from thinking that the taste of maybe meat or dairy is attractive to them to being repulsed by it. It's something that strongly affects me. For instance, one thing that keeps coming up is if I go to Bunnings and they're doing a sausage sizzle out the front, and the smell is just horrendous. And I've walked in there with family members who walked past the sausage sizzle and actually said, "Oh wow, isn't that fantastic? That smells great." I'm at the point of almost throwing up as I'm walking past. I mean, it's horrendous, the smell, and I sort of went, wow, just such a difference in what they find appealing. It's like the comparison of a pig in mud. A pig loves being in mud, and maybe we don't like it as much. But okay, let me just catch up with a few of the things here. So Mitchell has joined. Thank you for joining us, Mitchell. Brian Roberts, Rhode Island, New England. Thank you, Brian. That's where you are, eh? What do you think is the best approach to open the hearts and minds of non-vegans? That's a really good question, Brian, because I'm seeing a lot of different approaches, and I'd have to say, first off, that different approaches work for different people. So it's in one case, in one way of looking at it is that you sort of need to feel your way out with people and to see whether they're going to be more whether you're going to reach them more with the health angle, or whether it's going to be more with the environmental angle, or whether it's going to be more with the animal cruelty angle, or whether it's the whole compassion and respect for all life, including the animals, and respect for instance, all the children that are dying daily because the grains that they could be eating are being fed to the animals. This sort of thing. There's many different approaches, and I'm getting little little hearts popping up on the screen and all that. So I personally like to use. I come from the point of ahimsa, which is kindness and compassion in our thoughts, in our words, and in our actions. And I try to incorporate that then into the discussion I'm having with the person. But really, it's a case of asking them questions, seeing where they're coming from, and then tailoring your response, your information that you're giving them to what's going to resonate with them. So I hope that answers that question. Natalie says she hates the smell now, so gross. Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? I've got to say, another smell that really turns my stomach is the smell of dairy. And it's interesting because I have non-vegan friends that say that too, that they go, oh, cheese absolutely makes them want to vomit. And it does. The smell of cheese is horrendous. I haven't smelt milk. Well, I can't remember the last time I smelt milk, but I have actually smelt cheese in vegetarian places. I could smell it and just went, it's like, no, I don't want to be smelling this. This is pretty bad. Now, Beth says, oh my God, I feel repulsed too. I hate Bunnings for their sausage sizzle. I said to them last week, when will you cook a Linda McCartney sausage? Beth, one of the Bunnings a couple of weeks ago actually did vegan barbecue day there. I can't remember which Bunnings it was, but it was in Brisbane. So that's a fantastic thing to know that's going that way. But what about what I posted on my timeline tonight about, or this afternoon, no, I think it was tonight, about the RSPCA here in Australia that just seems to have no idea. I mean, it's the Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and yet they're having barbecues with corpses at their events. It's like, they're cooking corpses of animals at their events, and I'm, you know, this does not compute. There was I walked past a Woolies, in Australia, one of our, what do you call it, grocery stores. Big sign on the window there, this is last year, for the World Animal, one of the big worldwide animal groups. And it was a barbecue to raise funds for them. And I stopped and actually stood and looked at the window and thought, don't they get this? Is it really? Seriously? So let's scroll down to what we've got here. So Loredana has joined. Thank you, Loredana, for joining us. Natalie, yes, raw meat is worse and smells like death. Well, that's exactly right. It is death. It's death warmed up, which is an old expression that I used to use. You say you look like death warmed up when you look unwell. But that's what cooked meat is. It's death warmed up. And it's, I'll try and keep this positive rather than sort of, okay, Kim, you've said, what about Michelle Bridges being the new RSPCA ambassador? Doesn't really surprise me. I never was a great fan of her approach in any case, really. So I guess, yeah, it's obviously that's saying where her values are at, and I don't think I need to comment on that anymore. I like to try and keep it positive, try and keep it upbeat, because one of the things is, okay, this is my 36th year of being vegan. You can imagine if you go back you don't have to go back that far. It's only really for me that I've noticed in the last, I've been on Facebook, as I call it, for about 3 years. And in the time I've been on Facebook, it has actually opened my eyes more than in all the previous decades. The amount of information, it's just fantastic. It really, I'm just really, really impressed by how the awareness has increased so much through social media. So, we can be very positive about this and get this message out. And just so many people doing it every day. I'm doing a little bit myself. I'm seeing so many other people, so many of my friends and groups and that doing similar things, just spreading the awareness. Now, Brian, good question. What films and documentaries do you think open the most minds and hearts? Well, the one that's most mentioned, of course, is Earthlings. It's a very hard-hitting documentary. It's really the sort of one that you'd expect when somebody's got partway through it. It's blown their mind if they weren't already aware of the reality of the animal holocaust in the world, the reality of the way that we are treating innocent beings. I mean, I posted something about this today. I was doing a little bit of research today because I wanted to actually see what the numbers of animals killed per year were. And it was so high that I brought it back to what the number of animals per day was. Per year, I read figures between 56 million to 150 million per year. The 56 million didn't include, it was only land animals. It didn't include aquatic animals because it's so large a count that they can't even count animals from the ocean. They actually count it in tons rather than in numbers. So one of the sites I visited said 150 million, 150 billion, not million, 150 billion animals per year slaughtered because some people think they taste good. Now just dwell on that for a moment, because when I brought it back to how many per day it was between 100 to 400 million animals killed per day. I basically sat at the computer and just like, how do I even fathom that? How do I even fathom that number? That is just insane. So, Brian, I'll get back to your question. So, okay, Earthlings, hard hitting. If you don't want to go so hard hitting, Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, giving more information without going too sort of, too sort of into the real shock value. I actually was inspired by Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead, even though, what's the name of the guy behind it? Somebody might be able to remind me. Joe Cross, that's it. Even though Joe Cross, I don't think is actually even vegan, but I was inspired from a health perspective of just how much people can change just by simply removing the shit out of their diet and letting their body heal. And this is a thing that I often come from the health angle because that's how I started. And I was also doing, when I was younger, I was doing fasting up to 7 days long. And it takes a lot of willpower to do it. And I'll admit that I don't think my willpower is at that level these days where I could just, do that. But, it's fantastic to see what happens when you shift the fuel that you're putting into your engine, which is your body, of course. When you just change that, even just a little bit, it's fantastic to see the self-healing that takes place. And that's why fasting is so amazing, because it's the body doing this self-healing, and it's just fantastic. You just take the stress of the food going into the body away from it. You just keep it keep the liquids going, allow all the rubbish shit in the body to start actually coming back out. You allow yourself to become sick because the toxins come out, and you do go sick for a few days. Then you start to clear, and then you actually start to almost feel like spiritual awakening. So that's from personal experience and from many other people I know that have fasted. And I've got friends that have fasted, I think, over 30 days. Beth has said, Facebook does open your mind. I've learnt so much from it. Emma, thank you for joining us. And Marietta, thank you for joining us. Oops, I've accidentally pressed something there that I wasn't meant to. Brian, did that answer your question about films and documentaries? There are a few others. There's the... oh, yes, Brian, Melanie Joy. Yes. Melanie Joy, I've seen her live when she came to Brisbane, and I'm really impressed with her. She's very intelligent. The angle that she takes, talking about carnism, is fantastic, the psychological angle of it, and I'm fascinated by the psychology of the mind, the way it works. So I really love that she's a psychologist. She comes from that angle. She speaks incredibly well. She's very personable. Highly recommend Dr. Melanie Joy. For anyone that's watching now and hasn't seen her, go to YouTube and watch her videos. She wrote a book, Why We Love Dogs. Is it Eat Pigs and Wear Cows? I think that's the name of it. I'd have to Google it, and I'm actually so far haven't touched the computer since the start of that. So that's the start of this, which is pretty good. I'm looking at the computer to see if the live feed is working, but I'm not actually Googling at all. So yeah, Melanie Joy, fantastic. Of course, you've got Gary Yourofsky as well. Sometimes rubs people up the wrong way a little bit because his approach can seem, it doesn't appeal to everyone, but actually he knows his stuff. He's a fantastic talker. We've also got, name escapes me now, Australian man. He was somebody will remember his name. He did the great debate. I'm going to have to Google his. He was he's the ex CEO or whatever of one of the banks in Australia, and he's very much a philanthropist, and he's very educated. Great to listen to. Somebody please tell me what his name is so I don't have to Google it. Beth has said, when you shift fuel and eat garlic and chili, one never gets sick. I've not had the flu for 6 years. Beth, that's awesome. That's actually better than me. And I'll tell you, a couple of weekends ago, a couple of weeks ago, I actually had to take a few days off work. I wasn't sure what happened, but I started to get a headache that persisted, a light headache. Jason, thank you for joining us. I had a light headache that persisted. I was run down. What else? And I was a bit dizzy. And I actually stayed in bed for a few days because I really didn't feel like I had much energy to do much. And while I was there, I started thinking, there's something not right here. This doesn't feel like a flu. This isn't, don't have any of those symptoms. It's not a cold. I don't have any of those symptoms. I'm just lacking energy, and I'm got this dizziness recurring. And I thought, there's obviously I'm vegan, but I'm still not getting all the nutrients that I should probably be getting. So my diet is, there must be something I'm a little bit weak on. I started thinking, what am I doing? I have a lot of fruit, but I don't have anywhere near as many greens. I was having hardly any greens actually. And I thought, okay. I did some research. I thought I just need to do something about this. So almost as an experiment, because I hadn't been juicing for a long time, because I find juicing's always inconvenient with washing up the equipment afterwards. So, and because of the waste. So what I did was I did a juice and I immediately started to feel better, and I thought, this is good. And then somebody mentioned the NutriBullet, and I thought, hang on, I've never done green smoothies. I'm going to try a green smoothie. It's amazing. 36 years vegan, never done a green smoothie, I know. Anyway, had a green smoothie, bang, that was it. And I thought, that's it. I'm not having anywhere near the amount of greens that I should be having. Because I was eating a salad every day, and I changed to going into warmer foods, cooked foods every day. So instead of having a salad every day in the last year, I changed to having rice and lentils with usually with carrots and pumpkin and what else? A little bit of celery, sweet potato, broccoli, that sort of thing. So I'd be having that for lunch instead of the salad that I was always having. So I'd cut back on the greens. Well, that's what it was. Straight away, within a few hours, green smoothie, bang. I was just like, energy's back. Oh, thank you. It's the best I've felt in quite a while. So I'm doing green smoothies for breakfast now. And yes, Beth, I was ill. Yeah. You have the NutriBullet. Yes. Well, I actually have it's a nice blender, Philips blender, food processor, all the attachments. So I'm just doing it in the blender and blending up a green smoothie for breakfast, and then also having some during the day when I'm back at home. And yeah, definitely my body just went, yes, that's what I needed. I could tell the difference. It was yeah, very, very impressive. So and that's what I needed because I'd sort of let that go. I'd stopped having I'd stopped eating the lettuce that I was, and the celery and the cucumbers and all that, and I'd gone to the cooked foods. So. Oh, Brian, thank you for liking my music video. It's steep learning curve in editing that. Just to finish off on the green smoothie. So now what I'm doing 5 main ingredients in my green smoothie. I'm doing kale, celery, green capsicum, green apple, and what was the 5th one? What have I not said? Green apple, celery, kale, capsicum, and yeah, and cucumber. Cucumber is the 5th one. And then I've also been throwing in some chia seeds, turmeric, and some ginger. So that's been my green smoothie. Yeah, kale, Beth, yeah. Kale or spinach, but I do read that kale is better nutrient-wise. So yeah, so I've been doing that, and I'm loving the green smoothies. But at the moment, it's just a glass of water. Oh yeah, of course it's filtered. Actually, in case anyone wants to know what filter I use, the same filters that they use that NASA endorsed for the space shuttle. Believe it or not, what's it called? It's installed under the sink. I might have to run in there and have a look now. Hydrus, I think that's the brand name in Australia. Very hard to get now. I don't even know if they're selling them anymore. I've had it a few years, but it's triple stage filter, and yeah, they actually, some of the information I read about was quite amazing. NASA needed a very, very good water filter for the space shuttle, and the company in the US was awarded an award for coming up with this filtering system. Beth says, it is warm. Is it warm? I guess you're saying, is it warm where you are? I miss Queensland. I was born there. It's actually not warm tonight, Beth. I'm sitting in my house without the heater on, in a t-shirt, and trying to stay warm. I might have to start doing some moving around a bit. I had my jumper and beanie on earlier, so it's about probably 16 degrees in here or something. I live in an area that gets quite cold, as Will will know. It gets cold here in winter. We're in Currumbin Valley, and but it's absolutely beautiful. So it's I can't think of anywhere else I would rather be, which is why I've been here for 3 decades. Whereabouts, Beth, in Queensland were you born? I'll give you time to type back the answer to that. Oh, excuse me. Oh, had some dates earlier. I think I might have had too many. That was my dinner, was a green smoothie and dates. Mm. It's cool in Brisbane, Natalie, yeah. You know, last week I rode the bicycle to work. One morning it was 6 degrees. Well, the coldest it's been on the bike riding around just recreationally a couple of winters ago was 1 degree. And that's getting to the point where I'm not quite enjoying it anymore. But not quite there. It had to be maybe below 0. But 1 degree is, yeah, that's borderline. But I do enjoy riding the bike. Beth, you were born in Brisbane, okay. Brian, thoughts on distilled water? Yeah, you know, I haven't done a lot of research on it. I had many years ago, a long time ago actually, read a bit about it, and so I'm not fresh on that. So really, I don't have, I don't have too many thoughts on distilled water. I mean, from memory and the stuff I read in the past, man, is that it can be missing some of the essential minerals or vitamins or whatever it is that's normally in water. But see, I'm really going in an area here I don't know much about, so I'm not going to sound very knowledgeable on this, and I'll admit that because you know, I'm only attempting to answer the questions. I'm not attempting to be any sort of expert. Really, it's just an opportunity to chat with me. You know, get a feel for if there's anything anyone's curious about on how it's been for me to be vegan for this long, or any advice that I might be able to help you with. Natalie hates the cold weather. Well, yeah. I've got to say the best time of the year I think is autumn before it gets too cold into the winter. And right now, where we're getting temperatures that are reasonably good, then yeah, the sky, the autumn sky is just. When I look at the autumn sky, I can't describe in words what I feel. Robin, thank you for joining us. Some people may know that I consider myself a poet. I've released one poetry book, which is actually it's on the shelf over there, I think. Just bear with me. You'll see I'm wearing track pants. Look, he's got his track pants on. Hang on. Where is it? Looking for it. Looking for it. No, sorry, I can't find it. I was going to do a little product placement. I'll have to. I don't know where I've put it. Anyway, I did bring out one poetry book a couple of years ago, but and I've been writing poetry since I was in primary school. But the point being, there are certain things that really, really resonate with me, and I think they resonate also with anyone that shifts away. Your energy shifts when you start following a plant-based lifestyle. A plant-based diet, I should say. It shifts the energy, the vibration of your body, and then other things follow with that. So your compassion automatically expands. And then your spiritual awareness, you become more in touch with your heart. And so there are certain things that really actually resonate strongly with you and touch your heart. One of the things that even when I was quite young, I'll say as a young vegan in my teens and early 20s, was that I would be almost mesmerized by the color of the sky in autumn. And it's like that now. And I can just go out there and there's just a connection for me. And it just opens up my heart. And I just think, wow, I'm at one with the universe. And I also get that at night. I went for a walk tonight, just staring at the stars and just really just feeling almost like it's I'm in touch with nature around me, and that's why I love living here where I live. So now Beth was brought up in Kenmore. Okay. Natalie says days are still good. Wow. And Beth, yeah, you do become. I mean, obviously, it's not rocket science, is it? We would have to become more spiritual if we stop putting death into our bodies. It's just 1 and 1 equals 2. It's very, very simple. When I look at the world today and I see society with so many frustrated, depressed, angry, just lost, despondent people walking around. And then I think, well, 98%, 99% or 97% of the population is still putting dead energy into their body every day. It just makes sense that no wonder the world is the way it is. It's so people just not at peace. People that are going against what they knew as children to be their core values, they are going against them because they were educated, educated out of it by their peers, their parents, their maybe their people, their teachers at school, maybe their doctors, whatever. But it's very, very sad that a child has this compassion, has this love in his or her heart, and then is basically pulled away from it, is removed from it, is almost threatened. You know, it's just, yeah, it's very, very sad that this is the way that that it is. And now Beth says, no, Brian says, yes, Australia has great clouds. Yes, I know. Even tonight, we've got, about 2/3 of a moon up there, and we've just got, when is the full moon? Let's see. Okay, it is in a week's time on the 22nd. So we're more than 2/3 of the way there. And the clouds were just lighting up in the sky. Wow. Samantha, thank you for joining us. Natalie says, I am not a cranky person. Since becoming vegan January this year, my body going through lots of changes. Natalie, yes, please, tell me more. Tell me more about some of the changes. Obviously, positive changes. Becoming more in touch with maybe your emotions or things like that. Because when a person's eating meat, they have to cover the inner voice, which is telling them that what they're doing is not right. And they have to cover that every day. And this sets up a disharmony with the person, so that the person is constantly not at ease and is easily irritated. And some people so easily irritated that you can just say to them, good morning, and they're like, what do you mean by that? And it's like, it astounds me how ill at ease the majority of people are. But it doesn't astound me when I realise that if they're going to keep putting death into their body, this is going to be the end result. That their energy vibration is at such a low level that it's such a... there's 3 levels of... 3 modes from mode of ignorance, which is the lowest level, which is where a lot of these people are at, to the mode of passion, to the mode of goodness. So as you shift your diet, you can work your way up through these modes. Michelle, thank you for joining us. Nice to have you here. Brian, thoughts on afterlife? Okay, let me just get to that. Okay, thoughts on afterlife. Yes, what would you like to know? Yes, I'm definitely afterlife. Yeah. What is great about... well, when you say afterlife, I'm going to reply with reincarnation, because scientifically, what I like about, if we're going to go on to a spiritual side of things, what I like about where we are heading scientifically these days is that science is confirming what has been known spiritually for thousands and thousands of years. Science is now catching up and going, we can now prove that we're not the body. We can prove it because every molecule and every atom in the body changes and is refreshed, replenished, is completely renewed and is completely different within a period of a few years. I've heard different things within a couple of years, within 5 years, within 7 years. The body that we are traveling in is completely renewed right through to every single molecule and atom and in the brain and everything else. And so scientists are now realizing it's like, oh, so we're not the body because the body is completely renewed. We're not the brain because the brain is completely renewed. It's like, well, okay, who are we then? And it comes down to we are the spirit soul that is actually providing energy in that to the body. And the proof of that scientifically is that when a person dies, to use the term that we use, we call it death. It's only death of the body. The body still has all the components that it had a couple of minutes earlier when the body was still alive, but the body is no longer functioning. So what's the one missing component? What is the one thing that is no longer there that is what was giving it life? It's not the brain, it's not the physical heart, it's the one thing that you can't see there. It's the spirit soul, and it's gone. And people say that. They say, oh, they've left us. That's right, they've left us. Their body is still here, but they have left us and continuing on their journey. So let me just see. Natalie said I was also a cranky child and now that it's gone. That is great, Natalie. That is wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. Joined at the right time. Great info. Thank you. Beth says, what did you say there? You're a good speaker, Harry, able to read between the lines. Thank you. Thank you, Beth. Supermarkets now. Beth, you've also said supermarkets like Safeway are also becoming more vegan involved too. I live with spirits and not the type you drink. There's I've heard it, I might have to think the exact reference or the exact way it was said, but it was really, really it really touched me and I found it quite profound, but I've heard it said that there are people around us that are, this close to us, but we can't see them, but they can see us, and there is real, we're as real to them as somebody that we can see, sort of thing. And I've heard that described in several different ways like that, and it touched something in me because I realised that as a kid I knew this, and I thought I knew this when I was really young. I couldn't fully figure out what it was that I knew, but a lot of these things in later life have sort of come up and I've gone, aha, now I get the explanation for what as a kid I knew, but I couldn't quite put it all together, and that's, so I think that's, anyway. So Beth lives with spirits and not the type of drink. So yeah, now, Beth, just on that point, there okay, I'll get to your question in a second, Brian. Just on that point, Beth, there are, there are positive and negative energies, light and dark energies, and the same is true with disembodied spirits. So you can have spirits around you that are envious of the fact that you are still in a body and you can still enjoy in a body, which is what everybody wants to be, the ultimate enjoyer. They're envious of this fact, and they will try to actually enjoy by trying to take possession of your body. Now, I'm not trying to get all crazy on this or scary on this or anything. It's been a long time, but I personally experienced it happen a couple of times with myself. I've got a few friends that have had it happen as well. And it is a little bit freaky when it happens, when you have a disembodied spirit that is trying to enter your own body so that they can then experience again what they used to experience when they were in a body. I hope that makes sense, what I'm saying. It's a little bit freaky. So in reference to that, Beth, just be aware that if you've got spirits around you, if you're aware of that, they may not be in your best interest to have them around, basically. So, so that segues into Brian's question about meditation, because Brian, and this answers both questions together. Brian, mantra meditation is what I do, and mantras, they are transcendental sounds. They transcend material energy. So again, this is going to come back to energy, because energy is very, very important thing that I dwell on a lot, because we are energy, and the most important energy is love energy. Mantra meditation uses love energy, transcendental sound. It transcends um, the material energy, and actually can reach within to the heart and help cleanse the heart and the mind. It will also um, help in any situation where you may have negative spirits that are hanging around. They will either benefit from hearing it, or they will move on. So, and I have actually, it's a long time ago now, 25 years ago, I was living in a house here, my previous house here in the valley, and it's quite an interesting story actually. This is a true story. Oh, it's your mum, Beth. Okay. Um, okay, Beth. Well, okay, I will tell this story of what I experienced might help you with your situation with your mum, but I'll need more information as well on that. I moved into a house that was almost brand new. It only had some people who'd been living in it previously for 6 months. They'd been renting the house. And anything connected with water basically started to play up. So it was the washing machine overflowed, the drains blocked, the taps broke, just all these things connected with water. My partner at the time, that's what was happening. And then what started happening with my partner at the time, she would go into the bathroom, which had the main bathroom had a bath, big bath, and she'd have a bath. And there was scratching sounds started coming from the side of the bath while she was in there. At first, we thought it was a little bit strange, but this would happen regularly when she had a bath. And then she would get out and it would stop. And then she would go into the ensuite to do something in there, and with the mirror or something in there, and we would hear it come from the ensuite. Now, this went on for a period of time, and we thought this is we actually started to laugh about it, because there was this scratching type noises always coming from around the bath. One morning I was awake about 5 o'clock in the morning. She was asleep. I was sitting in the lounge room, and first time ever, I heard the scratching sound coming from the bath without her being in there. So I walked in. I said something to the effect of, I performed basically what I think was an exorcism. I said something to the effect of, "You're no longer needed here. It is time for you to move on." And it stopped. It stopped right then and there. Now, that would be the end of the story if it wasn't for the fact that sometime later I was talking to someone about this situation, and I did some research. It turns out that the previous tenants that had lived there had been a man and a woman, and the man had a previous partner he'd been living with in another house somewhere else, and he'd come to this house with his new partner. Can you guess what had happened to the previous partner? The previous partner had drowned in a bathtub in the previous house that this man had lived in. Then he'd moved into the house that I was living in before I moved into it. So, and I did some research, and I actually found in the newspaper that they'd found his previous partner drowned in the bathtub. They'd suspected him of it because she had drowned and had a drug overdose, and they couldn't actually charge him with anything. So nothing ever happened. And I'm convinced that's who was disturbing us. She was trying to sort of tell us something. She was anything connected with water and with the scratching on the bath. And when I told her she could go, she did go. I don't know where she went, but so that's that story. That was a long story. Sorry if I bored you with that one, but it was Anthony. Thank you for joining us. I just want to get back to Beth, what you're saying there about your mum. And Zoe's asking a very good question about what's the best way to get into mantra meditation. How does one start the practice? Zoe, well, it doesn't matter if you're in Australia or not. If you go to, I highly recommend the Australian School of Meditation and Yoga here in Australia. If you go to the asmy.org.au website, or just Google that, Australian School of Meditation and Yoga. They've got mantra meditation things on there that you can listen to, helpful advice. They've got a fantastic website, lots of stuff on there. You can go to YouTube and listen to their mantras. The mantras are beautiful. I put a lot of them up on my page. You won't have to scroll down very far to see the last one I posted, which was yesterday or last night. From last night's one. So, and just start listening and just take it into your heart and listen to the mantras. What we're talking about here is transcendental sound. I've been doing this for 24 years, and when I am in states of anxiety, where I'm having trouble handling things, this is the foundation I come back to. Because being a vegan, also, we become aware of a lot of things that are very, very hard to see and hard to really think about. The way that animals are being treated in the world is, and I'm going to swear here, it's fucking horrendous. I mean, it's way, way, way beyond anything, any evil that could normally be imagined, I guess, if that's a way of describing it. It is fucking horrendous. And sometimes when I dwell upon it, I don't so much get angry as I just really feel it. And I've noticed this, or I'll just go on this topic a little bit longer. I've noticed, because I speak to a lot of different vegans at different events and whatever, and a common thing that comes up is the difficulty in people that are aware of this, they're seeing it happen, and they get burnt out by it. And I've got to give this advice very, very strongly. You have to have a spiritual foundation underneath it all. Otherwise, you will get burnt out. If you're seeing all this evil in the world all the time and you're not actually able to know why it's happening, and you're not able to take shelter in something that's permanent underneath it all, then you're actually in a very risky position. You've got to. This is quite. I'm quite serious about this. You're in a very risky position because you're taking in so much negative information. But how do you handle it? How do you handle it if you don't know why the world is like this? This is why it is imperative that people, when they go vegan, instead of getting so angry that they become atheistic and think that there is no God and all the rest, keep your heart open. And I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person, which means a spiritual journey. It's a one-on-one journey between you and the higher source. And that's your spiritual journey. Keep that connection. That's your saving grace. Keep that connection open and cultivate, work on that connection. That's what you need to do, so that when you come up against the evils in the world, when you come up against the people that you cannot believe do the things that they do to animals, and I mean what they do to other people as well, at least when you come up against this, you can distance yourself a bit for a while and take some shelter. You have to be able to take shelter. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. This is very, very important. And this is going to be a point, because these Monday nights are going to be a regular thing, this is probably going to be a point that I'm going to reinforce again and again. So I want to get back to just reading some of the... so Zoe, I hope that helped about the mantra meditation. Go to the Australian School of Meditation and Yoga. Anthony, thank you for joining us. Beth, okay, so Beth, just getting back to your mother's spirit. She's not happy with the present situation. That's what you should have said. You are no longer needed here. Yeah. Was a long time ago, but yeah. Yes, and Natalie, yeah, the spirit followed him, yeah. Beth, not boring, good. Brian, it's a long commute for me. Have a look. Yeah, you can do it all online. Actually, there is over in the States as well. There's plenty of my friends over there that are doing mantra meditation over there. You will find local groups over there. So good to hear someone call it. Oh, what did I call, Michelle? I also feel and dream about animal suffering, then I turn off the light. That's Beth, yeah. Okay, Beth, yes, understand. Then you turn off the light. I'm going to use this, I'm going to say, keep the light on in a spiritual sense, okay? So that we can keep because I've seen firsthand I won't say who, anyway, someone was was seeing this a lot. She was filling out a lot of petitions, and it was really, really affecting her to the point where she just couldn't see it anymore, the animal suffering. And this is where, when it really started, this was a few years ago, it really started to occur to me. I said to her, you have to develop and cultivate a spiritual foundation, because otherwise this is going to just burn you out and ruin you, and you are going to become so angry and so depressed because you're going to make an erroneous conclusion about the way things are, and you know, you've got to not close your heart and, you know, become an angry vegan. Become a compassionate, aware vegan that has a spiritual reality and actually work with ahimsa, and then you can reach people's hearts, because you're actually seeing their heart. You're actually feeling it. If you're an angry vegan, no, you're not feeling their heart. You're just spewing it out there and hoping that some of the mud hits, sort of thing. No, you have to bring it back in yourself. Be centered in yourself. Be focused. Be at peace with yourself. Be aligned with your core values, and then radiate that love out to others, and they pick up the energy. Remember this: we actually radiate energy, heart energy, apparently up to about 12 feet. So what's that? 3 meters, 4 meters, out from our body, and we're picking it up from everyone around us. Our communication with people is very, very small amount of communication. A small amount of communication is actually what I'm doing now, is verbal and gesticulation. You know, communication, from what I've read, is often about what we don't say, about our timing, our inflection, our pauses. You know, but a lot of it is the energy that we radiate. And so, Beth, you understand, that's good. Natalie says, thanks, Harry, must go. It's been great talking with you. Look forward to the next one. Thank you for joining us, Natalie. Yeah, I can't believe I've been here almost an hour, according to my wall clock over there. Wow. And Natty Nat joined. Thank you for joining us, Natty Nat. We've had a nice constant stream of people, between about a dozen up to 20 people. So Michelle says, cruelty and how confronting it is. Yes, Michelle, it is confronting. This is why I highly recommend a spiritual path, so that we can take shelter and we can have a foundation and an understanding of why the world is the way it is, without making a erroneous conclusion in our head, which will send us off in the wrong direction and actually not help us in our spiritual growth. It won't help us in our health, in our ability to reach out to people, because we need to be able to reach out to people and to be able to be effective activists and create awareness so people can make the change. So, Beth, thank you for your comment. You're learning so much. Thank you. That was very nice. It's actually me who was actually learning so much, because the last couple of years, the amount of stuff that I've learnt through social media and through just the internet in general in relation to veganism is just it's just impressed me that it's almost like a vegan heaven for me after so many decades of just being the only vegan in the village, so to speak. It's just such a difference. I'm just so I'm so pleased that there's so many people making this difference. There's so many young people making this difference. You know, I'm meeting so many young people here locally, and it's just fantastic. They're awake, they're aware, and it's just, you know, wow. Just, you know, they're showing the oldies up. So Brian asks, so meditation daily, we'll check out your mantra room. This has been great. Yes, Brian, definitely, because we spend 24 hours a day up here, even when we're sleeping. What do you think our dreams are? Our dreams are just simply the thoughts that we have during the day, but we're seeing them as images at night. So we're constantly up here. And I have seen repeatedly with so many close friends what happens when you spend most of your time or all your time up here. It's you lose your connection with here, and it's not good. You end up quite bitter, and So we need to draw it back down to here. And there are techniques to draw it back to where your heart, you're connected with your heart, you're opening up from the heart. And meditation is a technique to help silence and still the mind. You're not going to silence it completely, but help just bring it back into a degree of control and allow the heart to be heard a bit. And then we become more effective in the way that we reach out to others. Virtual hugs. Virtual hugs. I've tried. It looks a bit funny when I do that, but Zoe says, I can't even fathom what it must have been like being vegan for so long. I feel like people didn't know what veganism was 5 years ago, let alone 30. You know what, Zoe? 36 years ago, I didn't know I was becoming a vegan. I didn't know that was the name of it then either. I was an Eritarian, as it was called, because I was following Arnold Ehret's mucusless diet. So if I had his book handy here, I'd hold it up and show you. So his surname was Ehret, so he called it Eritarianism, and that's what I called it. You know, that's what I called it to my mates or what, to my mates. But I was, the only vegan in the village, and I would bump occasionally into some people that were vegetarian or whatever. But geez, I think I drank a bit of water. I think I have to take a toilet break. How much longer should I chat, guys? Because it's been an hour. Aren't you bored of me yet? Somebody type a reply of how much longer I should chat, and I'll take a quick toilet break if nobody minds. Oh, actually, you know what I need to do? I need to put on a jumper because I really should have had a heater on in here. And I wanted to have my vegan life shirt prominent because that's what it's all about. It's all about living a vegan life and kindness and compassion. You're having fun, Beth. That's good. Okay, well, let's see how let me just check something up here on my phone. Oh, yeah, okay. I've got battery left. That's good. I fully charged it. It does use a bit of battery doing this. And yes, Samantha, you can watch this later because this will be on my page later. Can you guys give me, in here? Or have we timed out? Okay. Can somebody type a message and let me know if we're still going? According to this.